So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where Austria-Hungary reunifies. Now Austria-Hungary was a country that existed until up to 1918 after World War I, where it was dismantled and broken apart into various other countries. Now that was over 100 years ago, so what would it be like if it were to reunite today? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We recently hit 40,000 subscribers, and that's really crazy, and I just want to say thank you guys for that. There's going to be a 40,000 subscriber special, which will be a Hoi 4 live stream coming to you probably next weekend, so either the 23rd or the 24th there should be a live stream. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into this video. Now these two countries both share something in common, which is that they are in the EU. As of now, Austria isn't in NATO, so they don't share that in common, but they are neighbors and they do have a lot of history together. So with this, we have a new country in Europe, and it looks a lot like Czechoslovakia. If you really squint, they kind of look the same. Also, by the way, sorry if you hear the fan in the background, it's like a bajillion degrees in here. But yeah, new country in Europe, and it would be interesting to see how everyone would react. Now honestly, I don't think anyone would react because these are two relatively peaceful countries. There's nothing really controversial about them as of now, so them uniting really wouldn't set off any red flags. So with most of my mapping videos, I like to kind of disband a lot of alliances and treaties and stuff like that. So for example, NATO and the UN would be dissolved in this scenario, as well as the EU, which would basically just put no holdback to Austria-Hungary's new expansion. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing now that they have formed a new empire. So with the Austrian-Hungarian Empire re-established, we have them wanting to get some access to the sea, and they decide to invade Slovenia. Comparing the combined strength of Austria and Hungary to Slovenia really isn't even fair to the country, and it ends up falling pretty quickly. In the peace conference, we have full annexation by Austria-Hungary, and that gives them access to the sea. So now Austria-Hungary is a notable power in Europe, not the strongest, not the weakest. We have them making some claims. The first claim is made by the Hungarians, which consist of all of Transylvania, as well as northern Serbia. With these claims in place, we have a lot of tension being built between Austria-Hungary, Romania, and Serbia. But for now, no country really does anything, and they all agreed to stay neutral. Now, in real life, when you think of Austria and Hungary, well, mostly Austria, you think of a peaceful, quiet nation that doesn't do anything. And that would most likely be what would happen here. I really doubt that a modern Austria-Hungary would want to go out and expand and be the empire that it once was. So I'm going to be changing some things about, well, the countries. I'm going to go ahead and say that Austria and Hungary is slightly buffed to have a stronger military, since, I mean, around them they're relatively weak, but you know, you have Germany, Italy that could form a coalition, so buffing their military would help them out. I'm also going to say that their economy is buffed. So with these factors in mind, we have Austria-Hungary starting another war, and this time they're going up against Slovakia. Hungarian troops cross over into Slovakia, but surprisingly to them, we have Czechia joining the war on the side of Slovakia. Now this is a pretty interesting move by Czechia, because Czechia and Slovakia were once united under one nation, Czechoslovakia, and there was a peaceful split, and ever since then the countries have held relatively positive relations with each other. So having them go up against Austria and Hungary is kind of ironic, considering that Czechoslovakia was once part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. So with this, we have Hungarian troops freezing as troops from the Czech Republic start to push into northern Austria. Now there is a slight problem when invading Austria-Hungary, and you know, mountains. But this holds a huge geographical advantage for Austria-Hungary. We have Czechian troops pushing down and eventually stopping as they can't invade the mountains. And with that stop, we have the advance of Hungarian troops back into Slovakia. The country is torn apart pretty quickly and surrenders, which only leaves Czechia. Hungarian troops cross the border, and Austrian troops push back the Czechs. With this, we have a large-scale offensive in eastern Czechoslovakia, and a withdrawal of all Czechian troops from Austria. And now we have the offensive. Right away, we have Austrian-Hungarian troops targeting Prague, which they capture pretty easily, and with that, we have the surrender of Czechia. Looking at this peace treaty, we once again have full integration into Austria-Hungary, and it seems that this empire is very slowly rebuilding itself. Now, a big question a lot of people are probably asking themselves right now is, how would this country kind of sustain themselves from meeting the same fate they once did back in 1918? Now, if you didn't know, Austria-Hungary was a very unstable country back then. It was made up of a lot of different ethnicities, and together, overall, it just really wasn't working out. Obviously, with that not working out, we had the start of World War I, where, you know, a Serbian assassinated the Archduke, who was Austrian, so you can kind of see how it really didn't mesh together. So in order to combat this from happening again in their new empire, we have the Austrian-Hungarians doing something kind of interesting. So looking at this map here, we have a darker red color which represents the semi-autonomous regions of Austria-Hungary. So with that in mind, we have these governments ruling over their people, which is good, and then overall they're also serving Austria-Hungary. So looking at it on a map, we have Slovenia, Czechia, and Slovakia, the only countries they've annexed so far. But when you're looking at a world map, it's just one consolidated country. Anyway, so now with all of Austria-Hungary's northern lands restored, we have them focusing down south. The first target appears to be Croatia, but they do manage to make a deal with them. In exchange for not invading Croatia, Croatia would only have to give up their peninsula over here, in which they choose to do so in order to avoid war with Austria-Hungary. This obviously benefits Austria-Hungary because this gives them more coast, and they don't have to worry about a possible Croatian coalition being formed against them. That was interesting to say. Croatian coalition. That would be cool. Let's do that. So yeah, now we have Austria-Hungary looking at the Balkans, and we all know how the Balkans go. So let's just go ahead and start it. We have Austria-Hungary declaring war on Serbia, which brings Romania into the war and fear for their, Transylvania area. This makes a lot of people not happy and even gets Croatia involved on the side of Austria-Hungary. We have Kosovo, Albania, and North Macedonia up against Serbia. Montenegro joins on the side of Serbia, and as well as Bulgaria on the blue team in order to invade North Macedonia. Bosnia and Herzegovina joins the red team, but soon collapses into civil war, with Serbians kind of rising up against the government. Just continuing straight on, we have Greece joining this war in order to invade North Macedonia and Albania, and with the joining of Greece on one side, we have the joining of Turkey on another. So yeah, way to go Austria-Hungary, you started another war. And just staying on the topic of Cyprus, obviously Turkey occupies northern Cyprus, and we're just going to assume they just roll over the country. With that assumption in mind, we can also assume that Turkey takes over a lot of Greek islands, although I've found out recently that Greece has a considerably strong navy and an even stronger army, which I didn't know about, I'll admit that. But once again, we're comparing Greece to Turkey here. Greece has economical problems. Turkey also has economical problems. So maybe they aren't too different. But overall, Turkey is ranked stronger than Greece, so they do start their invasion of Greece as well as Bulgaria. We have Austro-Hungarian and Croatian troops pushing into Vojvodina, as well as crossing over the Romanian border. Now, mountains exist, and specifically in Transylvania, we have mountains existing. But beneficially enough for Austria-Hungary, we have the mountains kind of laying over here, which, if they can invade up to said mountains, they can just hold a front on the mountains. So that is a pretty big advantage to the country. All they have to do is just capture the mountain range. But for now, their front lies over here in northern Romania. Down south we have Croatian and Bosnian troops pushing back Serbian nationalists, while we have Serbia invading Kosovo, and Bulgaria and Greece invading North Macedonia. Albania starts to push up into Montenegro, while Greece pushes in from the south. Back over in Turkey, we have them pushing up the coast and cutting off the Bulgarians from the sea, as well as the Turks taking over the panhandle of Greece. Up north in Transylvania, we have the Austro-Hungarians pushing over to that mountain range that I was talking about earlier, and successfully holding a front against the Romanians as well as the Serbians. Speaking of the Serbians, we have Austria-Hungary pushing down and capturing Belgrade, which leads to the retraction of Serbian forces from Kosovo, and even a Kosovar invasion of Serbia. Unfortunately for them though, the front in the south just collapsed as North Macedonia capitulates, leading Kosovo to be completely vulnerable in the south. Back over in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have the Serbian nationalists pushing back and taking over a large part of the Croatian coast. So yeah, Balkan wars are interesting, but I think it's pretty obvious who will win here. Serbia has fallen, which is one of the stronger countries other than Romania and Bulgaria. Then of course we have Greece, which I'm sure will just kind of sue for peace. But yeah, continuing on, we actually have Austria-Hungary pushing back further down into Serbia and meeting up with Kosovo. And with this, we have troops over here encircled in the Western Balkans. They are slowly squeezed out, and eventually they all surrender. Now this is good news for the red team because they now have one united front against the blue team. But while the red team was dealing with the blue team up north, we've had the blue team sneak into southern Albania and up into southern Kosovo. We eventually see a small Serbian pushback on Kosovo in the capitulation of Albania. Kosovo is soon to follow, but in better news for the red team over here in the east, we have Turkish troops pushing up and capturing all of the coast of Romania. Now this isn't good for Romania for a multitude of reasons. One of being which all of Transylvania is gone, and two is Turkish troops are now really close to Bucharest. So we have Romania opting for peace, while the last three blue team countries continue to fight. Red team forces cross over into northern Albania as well as Kosovo, and a liberation is started. After seeing pretty much no hope left in this war, we have the surrender of Serbia, and red team forces cross into Bulgaria. Once again, we have another country coming to their conclusion here and stating that hey, this war isn't worth it. So we have Bulgaria leaving the war, and now all that remains is Greece. Greece is a pretty smart country, so they decide to also lead the war. So now let's go ahead and take a look at a peace treaty. Alright, so taking a look at this peace treaty, the Balkans are pretty much unrecognizable. Other than the obvious like Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, the other Balkan countries have had a complete makeover. So first off, starting with Austria-Hungary, we obviously have them annexing their old lands, which is Transylvania and then northern Serbia. Romania manages to only lose Transylvania, while Bulgaria is attacked from the south by North Macedonia and Turkey. Serbia loses all of the northern lands, and Kosovo is fully independent, which is then given over to Albania, who annexes lands from Montenegro and as well as Greece. North Macedonia is ceded lands from everyone that attacked them on their surrounding borders, so Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece. and Bosnia and Herzegovina receives the other half of Montenegro. Turkey receives a lot of land in southern Europe, and then finally we have them annexing all of Cyprus, as well as a lot of Greek islands. So yeah, the Balkans have been changed forever, and I'm sure this will last. I'm sure these borders will last. But anyway, fast forwarding a couple years, we have the Austrian-Hungarian military completely building up, and it is one of the stronger forces in Europe. Not the strongest, but one of the stronger. Eventually, we have them doing some backstabbing, and they invade Croatia. Now, obviously, Croatia trusted the Austrian-Hungarians. They fought a war with them. They, ceded this piece of land in order not to be invaded. And Austria-Hungary went ahead and broke that treaty and is now invading them. So what did the Croats do? Did they kind of surrender in order to, appease Austria-Hungary? Maybe they'll get autonomy. Or did they fight back because they were backstabbed? Well, the Balkans are made up of extremely nationalistic people, so I doubt they would just surrender. We have Croatian troops pushing across and re-annexing the Lost Peninsula, while Austrian-Hungarian troops push into their mainland Europe part. So Croatia pretty much manages to hold back Austria-Hungary. They're extremely mad that they were backstabbed, and they liberate some parts of Slovenia. Unfortunately, like I said earlier though, Austria-Hungary is now a military power in Europe, therefore Croatia really can't hold out. They're eventually split into two, the Northern Army is eradicated, and very slowly the Austrian-Hungarians push down the Croatian coast. Finally, we have the Austrian-Hungarians completely occupying Croatia, and kind of just annexing the land without really talking to the Croat leaders. So looking at that, we have a more recognizable face here, Austria-Hungary, or the Austrian Empire if you really think about it. But yeah, at this point, they only have one more country to invade, and they're already pretty unstable, definitely more unstable from the last war. We have Austria-Hungary declaring war on Bosnia and Herzegovina. So yeah, it really won't go well for Bosnia here. They're surrounded on three sides. Bosnia is a triangle, as we all know. So the north, the west, and then the south. But yeah, they're gonna get completely steamrolled here. They're, like I said, surrounded, and within a matter of weeks we have the surrender of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and just like that, Austria-Hungary has been reformed in 2022. So yeah, with buffs in consideration, Austria-Hungary was able to reform their empire. Now I really just wanted to focus on them getting all their old borders back, not really expanding out anymore. I could do an Austrian-Hungarian Empire video, but I don't really plan on it since that's not an actual country nowadays. I am aware that I missed some land, such as in Italy, but I'm not really worried about that for now. And yeah, so the Austrian-Hungarian Empire has returned. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and that is halfway to 100,000, and 100,000 is the milestone of milestones. We managed to hit 10,000 subscribers 4 times over now, and that's insane. I never thought I would ever hit 10,000. Here we are 4 times that later. So if you guys want to help me get to 50k and eventually help me get to 100,000, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share it with any of your friends that are interested in this kind of mapping stuff, and overall that will help the channel grow. I'm really excited for the Holy 4 live stream that I'm going to be doing for 40,000 subscribers. So if you guys also don't want to miss that, make sure to ring the bell as well. That will let you get notified every time I upload a video. You know all this stuff because YouTube says it all the time. But anyway, so yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.